Good morning, people. This is John Manimus with you. Once again, this is for campaign video number 3, for the John Manimus campaign. And this video, which I think will be a bit shorter than the first two, is possibly the most important of all because it's about the question. It's about the main question and some corollary questions that all relate to the election of 2020, November 2020 in the United States of America. And the question is whether you will participate. If you are a non-voter because you're new, perhaps you've been eligible to vote for many years, but you have decided not to vote. And the question is, will you be motivated to vote in 2020? The question could be asked in different ways, like, how can I and a group of friends and others who may join us, how can we persuade you to register to vote and vote in the election of 2020? When all the research we have tells us that 40% of the eligible voters have now voted for the past 120 years. When people are asked, when research is done as to why people don't vote, it's usually the same three answers. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have a candidate that I trust or that represents me. I don't trust the two-party system. The system is ineffective. Doesn't matter if I vote, no matter whether I vote or not, it'll still be the same American nobility making all the decisions. I don't like the two-party restriction. I personally have a theory that a two-party system is actually worse than a one-party system, because in a one-party system the people know they don't have a democracy because they have no choice. But a two-party system creates the illusion of choice. Many people who don't vote say that they don't vote because politics is too dirty and corrupt, or because they just don't have the time to learn really meaningful facts about the candidates. Well, that last question has been taken care of. Vote Smart, Vote 411, Vote USA, Ballotpedia, and several others are free services online, which you can access in libraries, of course. And you can learn all about the candidates and what they say and how they've voted on laws and so on and so forth. You can get their resumes. You can get to know all you need to know about them. Still, there is the question. Will non-voters wake up? Will non-voters understand that the election of 2020 is a crisis in American history, is a constitutional crisis? Our two-party system has become extremely dysfunctional. Millions and millions of Americans are frustrated and scared, frightened at what could happen next, because the Republican Party is not supporting the rule of law, and because the Republican Party is allowing the agencies of the federal government to be run by people who have no experience and no interest in the mission of these agencies. In fact, many of them are diametrically opposed to the mission of the agencies. The leaders of the Environmental Protection Agency do not want regulations to protect the environment. The Republican leaders of the Department of Congress don't want the Department of Commerce to regulate businesses in the United States. It goes on and on. There's an assault of our government by the two-party system. The Democrats have to share the responsibility. They have not been able to protect us and our government. The two-party system is not working. It's become a disaster and a clear and present danger. What will catch the attention of non-voters? Will they understand that they can do this? Will they understand that the John Manamus campaign is not really a campaign for a candidate? It's a method, it's a strategy to use a write-in candidacy as a referendum. Non-voters, our intent is that non-voters who become voters will have a new option to vote for in November 2020. They will be able to vote against the two-party system and for election reforms. Important, carefully designed election reforms designed to stop voter suppression, to stop gerrymandering, to stop lobbyists from running for office, getting paid by corporations, then getting elected and actually representing the corporations rather than really representing the voters of their congressional districts. This is a disaster. This is dangerous. This is not just corruption. It's worse than corruption. It's fraud. It's political fraud. Your system of self-government is being destroyed unless you come out in 2020 and save it by voting. Now, if you register to vote, keep this in mind. You will have open choice in November. I'm trying to persuade you to vote in the write-in campaign, the John Manamus write-in campaign, to vote against the two-party system and for election reforms. But you could, once you're registered, you could vote for the Democrat if you think that's the best thing to do. You could vote for the Republican if you think that's the best thing to do. You could vote for a third party if you think that's the best thing to do. The thing is, you have to decide now, before it's too late, to be registered so that you'll have that option, that opportunity in November. Because if you don't register, it will be too late. And no matter how scared and disturbed you are with what's happening in November, because a lot of craziness is going to happen between now and November 2020. If you want to have that opportunity to do something about it, you need to register to vote. 1775, farmers were awakened in the middle of the night in the winter, and they were told that the British were coming to the armory in Hubbardton, Vermont, near Bennington, Vermont, and they were told that the colonial cause of freedom is likely to be lost if the British reach that armory and take away all the weapons of the people in northern New England. And they knew they had to get up in the middle of the winter, leave their families, march across mountains in the snow. They even hooked up oxen to wagons and hauled cannon from New Hampshire to Hubbardton on the New York state border. And they faced the British force and they repelled them. And they saved the weapons that were later used in the Battle of Saratoga. Both of these battles, the Battle of Bennington and the Battle of Saratoga, that might also be Ticonderoga, a little glitch in my history there. But all of these battles, Bennington, Ticonderoga, Saratoga, where farmers left their homes to fight, made it possible to create the United States of America, a country that has been admired for centuries for its First Amendment, its freedom of speech and its freedom of religion, and its judicial system, trial by jury, its elections for the people who hold the power. In our own times, Americans volunteer to serve in fights against terrorists on the other side of the planet. They suffer burns, brain injuries, blindness, loss of their legs, loss of their arms or hands. They do that for America. And all is being asked of you is to meet your minimum requirement for self-government. Register to vote and vote. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4 says that You are guaranteed a Republican form of government. That means majority rule. We have not had majority rule for 120 years at least. Do you want majority rule? If you do, you need to vote. We need to change the system. Now, you might be just confused here, like, oh, this is nice words and it's appeal and it sounds good, but what would we really be voting for? How could this work? What's the strategy? That's the next video. Video number 4 will be the strategy. What this is about, what the plan is, how it could work. It's arithmetic. It's not ideology. It's not a fantasy. It's arithmetic. That's the next video. Arithmetic. See you next time.